The single principle of dangerous respect. Machiavelli's unflinching truth. Imagine for a moment that you could walk into any room and command respect without uttering a single word. Picture yourself radiating such strength of presence that people are drawn to your authority, yet naturally cautious of your power. What would it truly mean to live in a way where respect is not politely offered, but inevitably compelled? Today, we embark on a journey through the provocative and piercing insights of Niccolò Machiavelli, a thinker often deeply misunderstood, but whose reflections on human nature remain as sharp and dangerous as when he first wrote them. By the end of this deep dive, we will uncover the single most powerful principle of becoming dangerously respected. This principle might fundamentally change the way you view influence, power, and even your own life. Before we dive in, take a moment to subscribe to this channel, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video with someone who craves wisdom as much as you do, because the truths revealed here are not ordinary. They are truths that can reshape how you see respect, power, and the hidden mechanics of human behavior. And trust me, you will not want to miss the final revelation. It is the most important of all. The raw essence of compelled respect. To understand how to become dangerously respected, we must first grasp the raw essence of respect itself. Many people confuse respect with admiration, politeness, or mere friendliness. But true respect, the kind Machiavelli spoke of, is forged in the deeper, colder chambers of human psychology. It is not about being liked. It is about being acknowledged as someone who cannot be ignored. Think about it. How many times in your life have you seen someone universally loved, yet dismissed and overlooked when the true decisions of power were being made? Contrast that person with someone who is feared, or at the very least, taken seriously. Their mere presence shifts the entire dynamic of the room. Machiavelli, in his masterpiece, The Prince, asserts that it is safer to be feared than to be loved, if one cannot be both. And psychologists have wrestled with the idea of respect and authority for centuries. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote about the will to power, the inherent inner force that drives humans to assert themselves and overcome resistance in the world. Sigmund Freud, on the other hand, highlighted how much of our behavior is shaped by unconscious drives, often leading us to seek authority figures we simultaneously admire and fear. Modern psychology confirms this duality. Studies reveal that people follow leaders not primarily because they are liked, but because they are perceived as strong, decisive, and willing to enforce their words with action. The balance, admiration, and consequence. Let us pause here and consider something essential. Becoming dangerously respected is not about domination, bullying, or cruelty. It is about embodying a presence that cannot be dismissed. It is about forging an aura that makes others think twice before they even consider underestimating you. Machiavelli himself advised that a leader must avoid being hated. The goal is not to cultivate animosity, but to find that razor-thin balance, to temper admiration with a shadow of consequence, a quiet but undeniable force that says, "I am not to be taken lightly." Think of the historical figures who embodied this duality. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, ruled with wisdom and justice, yet no one doubted his martial strength and authority. Abraham Lincoln was admired for his compassion and vision, but he also carried the firm, necessary hand to preserve a nation divided by war. And in more recent times, figures like Nelson Mandela showed that respect can be built on resilience, quiet strength, and the absolute refusal to be broken. Each of these leaders shared one thing in common. They were admired, but they were also dangerous to oppose. So, How can you begin to cultivate this kind of presence in your own life? It begins with an internal transformation before it ever manifests outwardly. Respect is not granted by others until it is first demanded by the way you carry yourself. Your posture, your words, your silence, your discipline, all of these are powerful signals. Machiavelli would remind us that appearances matter greatly, because people often judge more by what they see than by what they truly understand. If you respect or lack thereof that others grant you. Imagine reshaping these behaviors. Imagine replacing hesitation with clarity, passivity with quiet decisiveness, and doubt with grounded self-assurance. This is the beginning of becoming dangerously respected. It doesn't require arrogance or cruelty. It requires mastery over how you project yourself to the world. But this is only the beginning. Machiavelli goes further, and what he reveals about the balance between love and fear, strategy and human psychology is not just insightful, it is unsettlingly powerful. In the next part, we will explore how to apply these principles in practical, everyday scenarios, in your career, in your relationships, and in the small moments where the subtle mechanics of respect can make or break your influence. The strategy of appearance and boundaries. Consider for a moment how many opportunities in life are quietly decided, not by merit, not by fairness, but by perception. People follow those who appear powerful, who seem unshakable, even if deep down they are no different than anyone else. Machiavelli understood this with unsettling clarity. Human beings are guided more by appearances than by truth. And if you wish to become dangerously respected, you must learn not only to cultivate your true strength, but also to master the art of appearing stronger, more composed, and more prepared than anyone around you. Machiavelli writes that a leader must learn how not to be good. This does not mean embracing cruelty for its own sake, but rather that you cannot be bound by naive ideals if you wish to wield real influence. Think of how often people cling to the notion that being endlessly nice, agreeable, or accommodating will earn them respect. Yet, what often happens? They are overlooked, undervalued, and at worst, taken advantage of. Respect requires boundaries, and boundaries require the courage to sometimes disappoint, to say no, to risk disapproval in order to preserve your authority. Ask yourself, do you sometimes sacrifice your dignity to maintain harmony? Do you allow others to cross your limits because you fear conflict? If so, Machiavelli would challenge you to rethink toward when decisions matter. It is rarely the one who is simply kind or agreeable. It is the one who communicates strength, who holds firm in their opinions, and who makes difficult choices without flinching. In friendships, the most respected person is not the one who always says yes, but the one whose voice carries weight because it is not cheaply given. Even in family dynamics, respect flows toward those who embody both love and strength, not those who only yield in the name of peace. The philosopher Immanuel Kant once said that respect is not something that can be demanded through mere affection. It must be compelled by the recognition of dignity. Dignity, in Kant's sense, is an intrinsic value that demands acknowledgement. Machiavelli, in his pragmatic style, translates this into power dynamics. People respect those who enforce their dignity with consistency. To be dangerously respected, then, is to live in such a way that violating your boundaries carries consequences, even if those consequences are subtle. Modern psychology adds another layer to this understanding. Research on dominance and prestige models of leadership reveals that human beings respect two kinds of authority. Dominance, authority that arises from raw strength and the ability to enforce power. Prestige, authority that arises from knowledge, wisdom, and expertise. But the rare and most compelling figures combine both. Think of leaders who are not only knowledgeable, but also command a quiet force of presence that discourages challenge. This duality, wisdom intertwined with latent strength, is the essence of being dangerously respected. Pause and reflect in your own life. Where do you lean? Do people respect you because of your expertise, but perhaps doubt your willingness to enforce your boundaries? Or do they respect your decisiveness, but fail to see you as wise and thoughtful? The Machiavellian path to dangerous respect is to fuse both together, to cultivate intellectual strength with a powerful undercurrent. The illusion of generosity and the power of When generosity is tempered by consequences, the lesson strikes deep. You are not to be underestimated. This principle applies equally to the inner life. If you do not respect yourself, no one else will. Machiavelli reminds us that appearances matter, but appearances without substance are fragile. You must discipline yourself before you can expect others to respect you. Your habits, your self-control, your words, they all build the foundation of your authority. Respect is not a costume you can wear. It is a reflection of who you are, consistently revealed through action. Ask yourself, what habits in your life are eroding your ability to command respect? Do you procrastinate? Speak without weight? Make promises you do not keep? Every act of weakness becomes a crack in your authority, but every act of discipline, every promise fulfilled, every moment you hold your ground, adds another stone to the fortress of your reputation. Think of great figures like Winston Churchill, who combined fierce resilience with eloquent wisdom. He was not merely loved, nor was he merely feared. He was respected dangerously, because those around him knew he was both intellectually formidable and unbreakably strong. Respect thrives in this tension. And here lies the paradox. To become dangerously respected, you must embrace both humanity and firmness, compassion and ruthlessness, light and shadow. Too much in one direction and you become either weak or hated. Balance them and you embody the rarest quality of all, authority that is admired but also feared to cross. In the next part, we will go deeper into Machiavelli's strategies for maintaining respect once it is established. We will explore how consistency, unpredictability, and the careful crafting of reputation determine whether respect endures or collapses, because becoming respected is one step, but remaining dangerously respected is the true art. The fragility of reputation, consistency and consequence. Respect once earned is never permanent. It must be maintained, sharpened and defended like a blade. Machiavelli was acutely aware of this fragile truth. To him, the perception of power was not static. It was constantly shifting, tested by rivals, undermined by envy, and threatened by complacency. If you wish not only to gain respect but to remain dangerously respected, then the work never ends. Respect evaporates faster than it was earned. History provides countless reminders of this truth. Think of Richard Nixon, a man of formidable intelligence and political skill, who nonetheless allowed the stain of Watergate to collapse the respect he once commanded. Or consider Napoleon Bonaparte, whose early brilliance won him dangerous respect across Europe, but whose overreach and inability to preserve balance ultimately eroded his reputation and power. Both examples reveal the same lesson. Respect must be constantly cultivated and protected, for it is as fragile as glass. So, how can we, in the context of everyday life, preserve the respect we fight to gain? Machiavelli gives us three essential principles: consistency, unpredictability, and consequence. Consistency builds trust. Even those who fear you respect you more deeply when they know your actions align with your words. If you claim to have principles but break them whenever convenient, people won't fear you. They will see through you. To remain respected, your values must be lived visibly. Unpredictability weakens control. Paradoxically, complete predictability weakens you. If others can always anticipate your response, they learn how to manipulate you. That is why Machiavelli advised leaders to remain unpredictable, to introduce an element of surprise that keeps others cautious. Imagine a leader who is usually generous but at a critical moment withholds, or one who usually remains silent but suddenly speaks with piercing clarity. These moments of unpredictability remind others that they cannot fully grasp or control you. Respect deepens when people sense there is always more beneath the surface. Consequence lends weight. Respect collapses the moment your words lose weight. If you make threats or promises you do not keep, people will test you, and eventually, they will stop taking you seriously. Think of a parent who constantly warns a child but never enforces boundaries. Soon the child no longer listens. The same applies to leaders, friends, and colleagues. When people cross you, there must be measured but undeniable consequences. Otherwise, your respect dissolves into hollow gestures. Let us pause here with a question. How consistent are you with your own words? Do you uphold what you say? Or do you allow yourself to bend, to delay, to excuse? Do you occasionally remind others that you are a
leader who is despised will eventually fall, because contempt erodes authority more quickly than opposition. Avoiding hatred and embracing virtue. To remain dangerously respected, you must ensure that contempt never takes root. This brings us to a subtle but vital point. You must avoid hatred. Machiavelli was clear. Fear without hatred sustains respect, but hatred poisons it. To be dangerously respected does not mean to be cruel, reckless, or unjust. Hatred arises when strength becomes abuse, when fear becomes oppression, when respect is replaced by resentment. If people come to despise you, they will plot against you in silence. Respect must be tinged with caution but balanced with admiration. The moment admiration is lost, respect becomes fragile. Think of leaders who inspired both awe and fear without falling into hatred. Queen Elizabeth I held her throne against countless threats because she was respected as both intelligent and formidable. Yet, she avoided the cruelty that would have turned her people against her. Nelson Mandela, though not Machiavellian in the harsh sense, embodied a similar balance. His resilience inspired admiration, but his resolve and unshakable dignity ensured that even his enemies respected him. This balance is what transforms temporary respect into dangerous, lasting respect. Modern behavioral science reinforces this. Studies on authority show that people are more likely to obey and respect leaders who balance firmness with fairness. Too much leniency and authority crumbles. Too much cruelty and rebellion bruise. The sweet spot lies in calibrated strength. Let us now reflect on another crucial Machiavellian insight. Fortune favors those who act decisively. Respect does not survive in passivity. If you hesitate, if you falter when decisive moments arise, respect begins to wane. Machiavelli argued that it is better to act boldly and risk failure than to appear weak through inaction. People forgive mistakes more easily than they forgive hesitation. Courage, even when imperfect, commands respect. This truth applies to daily life. Imagine being in a meeting where a critical decision must be made. Everyone hesitates, weighing risks. The one who speaks with clarity and conviction, even if their plan is not flawless, will often become the person others respect. Why? Do the work of amplifying their authority. As we move forward, we will explore how to apply these principles of consistency, unpredictability, consequence, and silence to build not just respect, but a lasting legacy. Because the final step is not only to be respected while you live, but to ensure that your name, your presence, your very memory carries dangerous respect.
even when you are no longer in the room. The legacy of respect, virtue and self-mastery. There comes a moment in every journey of power when the pursuit of respect transcends the immediate and touches something eternal. To be dangerously respected is not only about commanding the present, it is about leaving an imprint that outlives your presence. Machiavelli understood this deeply. In The Prince, he constantly emphasized the weight of legacy, reputation, and the stories that survive long after leaders themselves are gone. Respect that fades when you leave the room is weak, but respect that lingers in whispers and memories, that is dangerous respect perfected. Think for a moment about Alexander the Great. Centuries after his death, his name still evokes awe, not merely because of his conquests, but because of the legend of his relentless ambition. Or think of Socrates, who lived with no wealth or armies, yet is remembered with reverence because of the unshakable way he pursued truth, even unto death. Dangerous respect is built when the essence of your being carries a message stronger than your physical presence. But how do we achieve this in our own lives, far from thrones, empires, and battlefields? The answer lies in aligning your actions so tightly with your values that you become unforgettable to those around you. Machiavelli would insist that people remember not your intentions but your results. If you wish to leave behind a legacy of respect, then every choice you make must reinforce the identity you want remembered. Ask yourself, when you are absent, how do people describe you? Do they recall your indecision, your compromises, your weaknesses? Or do they describe you as the one who stood firm, who acted boldly, who embodied principles that could not be shaken? Legacy is built in these small, consistent impressions, etched day by day into the minds of those who encounter you.
Fortune to your will, the inner strength that transforms obstacles into stepping stones. Dangerous respect comes from displaying thereto so clearly that others recognize it instinctively. When you embody virtue, people do not merely admire you, they hesitate to challenge you, knowing that fortune itself seems to conspire in your favor. Now, pause with me and reflect. What virtues do you display in your daily life that command respect? Is it your intelligence, your resilience, your ability to remain calm under pressure? And what weaknesses do you show too often, which diminish the respect you deserve? Dangerous respect requires ruthless honesty with oneself. If you cannot see your own flaws, others will, and they will use them to undermine you. Machiavelli also teaches us that respect is magnified by how we respond to adversity. Anyone can appear strong when times are easy, but true respect is born in the moments of trial, when your composure and courage are tested. Think of Winston Churchill. During the darkest days of the Second World War, Britain respected him, not because victory was certain, but because his resolve never wavered when defeat seemed near. Dangerous respect grows when people realize that no matter what storms may come, you remain unshaken. The final principle, self-mastery. And here we arrive at the most powerful revelation of all, the single most important principle. To become dangerously respected, you must master yourself. The greatest empire you will ever govern is the empire within. Machiavelli could teach us about strategy, fear, and appearances, but even he would admit that no ruler, no leader, no individual can command others if they cannot first command themselves. Self-mastery is the foundation of all respect. Without it, power crumbles from within. Consider this carefully. If your mind is restless, your emotions uncontrolled, your habits undisciplined, how can others truly respect you? But if you show mastery over your impulses, if you display calm in chaos, if you remain firm where others break, respect follows naturally. People are drawn to those who govern themselves because self-mastery is the rarest and
Ready to cultivate this dangerous respect? Are you prepared to examine your habits, to strengthen your boundaries, to act decisively, to preserve your reputation, to balance fear with admiration, and, above all, to master yourself? Because if you are, then the world cannot ignore you. Let this be your moment of awakening. Respect that is fragile is no respect at all. But respect that is dangerous, respect built on presence, on consequence, on consistency, on mystery, and finally on self-mastery. That is the kind of respect that reshapes not only your life, but the way the world remembers you. Take this lesson with you. Carry it into your work, your relationships, your decisions. And remember, you do not need to be a prince to live by Machiavelli's wisdom. You need only the courage to act, the discipline to remain steadfast, and the resolve to master yourself. The rest will follow. If you found value in this journey, subscribe to this channel, leave a like, and share your reflections in the comments. Share this message with those who, like you, are ready to embrace a higher standard of strength, dignity, and authority. Because in the end, the path is clear. To become dangerously respected, you must not only command the world, you must first command yourself. And once you do, the respect you earn will be unshakable, unforgettable, and eternal.